Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Happy So What Day. I hope you're having a great start to your week and that you are staying warm. It is freezing just about everywhere right now. We are having a snow day. So my kids are actually off of school. Everyone's kind of hunkering down. We've got the fire going upstairs. So, man, it's cold. So, I really hope wherever you are staying warm, maybe staying in your sewing room today, tackling some UFOs, or starting a new project. I have a new project that you might want to create today because it's going to help us stay a little bit warmer, hopefully. It is a draft stopper pillow. It's not really a pillow. I mean, it sits on the floor, but I'm calling it a pillow because it's something that we're stuffing. And actually, it looks like a smaller but longer bolster pillow. So you would create it in a similar fashion. So if you would rather create something like a bolster pillow, maybe on your bed in front of your pillows, it's really pretty. Or you could put it on your couch. It also provides a little bit of lumbar support as well because of its shape and kind of where you position it if you are going to be using it as a pillow. So I guess that's why I'm calling it a pillow, because of the way it's constructed and because you can also create it a little bit different way and use it as a pillow instead of a draft stopper. Sometimes these are called draft dodgers. It's just a little, cheeky nod, play on words kind of a thing for this type of project. Draft stopper, draft dodger, door snake, sometimes they're called. So at any rate, that's what we're going to be working on today. And also I'm going to be talking about kind of taking it to the next level and making it a little bit designery rather than, crafty. Although I love crafty stuff, don't get me wrong. We are going to just kind of kick it up a notch with our fabric choices and add some applique and also add some custom-made welting, which we'll go over the difference between piping and welting as well. And if you don't know what either of those things are, we're going to be talking about it today. So put your questions in the live chat. We will be addressing those as I move forward today as well. And make sure you're saying hello. Make sure you're checking in on the live chat, giving me those emojis. Make sure that you have liked our Facebook page or subscribed to our YouTube channel if you want to be eligible to win today's gifty from Sulky. I'm going to be giving away a sampler pack of 30 weight thread. 30 weight cotton thread is really great for things like machine applique, for hand applique, for quilting. It's a little bit thicker thread than what you would use for, let's say, machine embroidery or constructing garments, constructing anything really. So I'm going to be talking about a few different thread weights as well during today's project tutorial so you can kind of see what works best for you. But today's giveaway is, it's either 5 or 6 spools of the 30 weight cotton thread. And it has over a $40 value to it. So it's a pretty great prize for today. All you have to do to be eligible to win that, again, is participate in the live chat, give me those emojis, like our Facebook page if you're watching there, or subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're watching there. Lots of you saying hello and that, yes, you are cold. Karen is coming to us from Iowa. Iowa got some crazy snow over the weekend. Chilly Delaware, yes, it is just 4 degrees in Washington. I think it's about 4 degrees where I am as well. I have to check it out because yesterday we did not climb above 0. Oh, we're all the way up at 25 degrees, everybody. It's a heat wave. It's a heat wave happening, from yesterday at least. All right, so before we get started, I just wanted to sort of recap our lovely earrings webcast that we had last Tuesday with Sheila Ryan of Designs by Baby Moon. She took us through how to create these freestanding lace earrings in the hoop of our embroidery machine, and it was such a great time. She is a wonderful teacher. If you happen to miss it, you could still access it and watch it on demand now that our live stream has ended. So go ahead and register. There's a free earrings design just for registering that you can play around with, create your own pair of earrings. We still have some kits available as well if you want to grab up a kit, create these for Valentine's Day, create these for gifts for all year round, all kinds of things. But I wanted to mention this again, even though it was last week, because obviously you can access it at any time, and now you can watch the whole thing whenever it's convenient for you in its entirety. But a lot of people were commenting in the chat during the event. This is what the kit looks like for the earrings. You get an entire earring design collection with 9 different designs. You get all this earring hardware pictured here. It includes studs and hooks and jump rings. You also get all of this thread, a pack of embroidery needles, and some Fabri-Solvi. Sheila talked about the difference between using Fabri-Solvi and Super Solvi or Ultra Solvi when you're making freestanding lace, especially small, delicate things like these earrings. The Fabri-Solvi has a fabric-like quality to it, whereas our Solvi products, the Ultra Solvi and Super Solvi, those are the film-like stabilizers. Those don't have any, fabric-esque quality to it. So when you're creating these smaller designs, the Fabri-Solvi washes away and keeps everything nice and soft. And when you're washing away, let's say the Super Solvi or the Ultra Solvi, it can get kind of stiff, which sometimes you want that in freestanding lace. Now, if you were to wash away all of the stabilizer entirely, you would get the softness of the thread that you're using, regardless of which Solvi product that you use. But we want to keep a little bit of that stabilizer in the thread so that they have a little bit of structure to them too, so that our hearts stay looking like hearts and don't kind of, lose their shape over time, or I don't know what else could happen, really. But at any rate, Fabri-Solvi is the chosen stabilizer for these little earring designs. And I wanted to mention, because a few people said, you know what? I'm not really into wearing earrings, especially big earrings, which the little hearts that you see that have the chain of 3, you can create just one little heart, put it on a stud, and it's just a tiny little earring. It's still sort of a dangle because you are attaching it to the hardware with a jump ring, but it's closer to your earlobe. But at any rate, people were saying, I'm not super into wearing earrings like this, but I'm going to use these designs for key rings for all of my friends for Valentine's Day. Somebody said, I'm going to use these designs for little zipper pulls on bags, on zippered bags, on all kinds of things. It would be so cute as a zipper pull on a hoodie sweatshirt. I just thought that was the cutest idea. Why did I not think of this? But this is why we all come together as like-minded people with all of our ideas. You could even create the little heart with a thread tassel, create that as a zipper pull. That would be so sweet on a kid's hoodie for Valentine's Day, or even on a little zipper pouch that you make for somebody out of some heart fabrics, something like that for Valentine's Day, or just to say I love you any time of year. So I wanted to give you all that idea for those of you who maybe you got a kit, you made your earrings, and you have some thread left over. Why not make a little zipper pull charm or a little charm that you would add to a key ring? So cute, so precious. Another great idea for using these designs. And I love getting lots and lots of mileage out of my embroidery designs. They're not just one and done like our fabric stashes, right? Once those, fabric remnants are gone, a lot of the times we can't find that fabric ever again. But with embroidery designs, they live in our computer. We can import them to our machine at any time. We can reinvent them with different thread colors, different project ideas. Ooh, somebody also said they were going to create a couple of the freestanding hearts and then apply them to a collar on a collared shirt, like on the edge of the collar, so that the heart was along the little point of the collared shirt. That is so adorably cute. I love it. It's a little accent, but it's very impactful for something like Valentine's Day and beyond. So lots of people are coming in with more ideas for these designs. So if you would like and you missed out on the kit, you can still grab it up. This is everything that you get in the kit. All of these threads go with the design collection that is also included in the kit. So once you grab up the kit, the design collection goes into your account at sulky.com. And once your purchase is verified and all that good stuff, you are able to download your designs from your sulky.com account, and you can start creating as soon as your kit arrives. So everything you need in that kit, you can use those jump rings to create your little zipper pulls, to create key rings, all of that stuff. All right. Sharon says, can we make just the large heart without the flower and butterfly? I want just a heart to hand out. You can, because, let me go to this image again, because the structure of how these sew out, there's a foundation of stitches that creates each one of the hearts. So as long as you have that foundation of stitches, by that I mean there's a row of stitching going up and down, and then there's a row of stitching going across from corner to corner and across again. That's the foundation that you then add the butterfly or the flower or the other embellishments that are in the design. So if you want to stop at the heart and not have that embellishment, you can either go with the largest size of the dangle heart and stitch that out on its own, or you can stitch out, let's say, this butterfly heart, but skip all the butterfly stitches, and you would still have enough foundation stitching to have that freestanding lace look, and it won't fall apart or anything when you wash away the stabilizer because of the way it's digitized and how those layers of thread stack on each other during the stitch out. So I would venture to say that you would be totally fine just skipping the butterfly stitches, or use the largest heart, the plain heart, in that dangle set, and you would have a little heart to hand out, and that's really cute. All right. So another thing that I brought to your attention last week, if you happen to miss last week's So What, you will be hearing this for the first time, but I brought this to all of you before bringing it to anyone else because you are loyal So What watchers, viewers, listeners. We unveiled our next embroidery sewing session, which is happening February 13th at, well, actually, it's not a live event, but it activates February 13th. And when I say activates, I mean that's when the entire event is ready for viewing. It's all an on-demand, long format session with lots of lessons kind of chunked out so that you can choose how you want to go through the course. It is entirely self-led by you. All of the videos showing you this project from start to finish, extra tutorials on how to use software to personalize this, and much, much more. All of it is sectioned out within this session with posts and ancillary materials and all kinds of information. If you joined us for our rope basket session, then you understand what I'm talking about. All the lessons are packaged so that you can kind of take breaks at natural stopping points, as you work your way through the project, the lessons, etc. So it's a really fun way to learn these techniques and learn the project. And you can go back at any time, just like with our webcasts, videocasts, etc., and review any of that information. So let's say this is ready on February 13th. You log in first thing on February 13th and the phone rings, right? Well, we're not live. It doesn't matter. You can stop at a natural stopping point. As long as you click on the button on the lesson page that you're at that says complete, it will remember where you left off. So the next time you log in to learn more of the session, take another lesson, review the project, it'll remember where you left off and you can start right from there again. Or you can start the entire thing over with the click of one button as well. So it's a really cool way to get your online education. It's a totally no stress environment. It's all up to you where you start, stop, all of that good stuff. And there is a Q&A box on every single lesson page. As soon as you write a question in that box, it pings one of us here at Sulky, and we answer you as soon as we can. You can also get a direct line to Designs by Juju through that Q&A box on each lesson page as well. So you have all of this support. Everyone's rooting for you. We're here for you to make sure that you have the best experience and that you make the best looking project you possibly can. So this project is exclusive to Sulky and to this embroidery session. It's a 3D spring wall hanging. As you can see, it has a bird at the top, a little birdhouse with applique pieces, and then a little sign hanging from it. All of these freestanding elements attach to each other by ribbons, buttons, and buttonholes. So it kind of reminds me of those old school 80s cardboard cutouts that have the hinges on them that you can move arms around and things like that. So that's where this 3D aspect comes from. And also it has structure inside of the fabrics, the front and back fabrics, with the help of Sulky puffy foam. So instead of using something like batting, which might, droop a little bit as it's hanging, this has Sulky puffy foam inside of it. So it has great structure, stands up on its own. You can move the elements and they're going to stay put. And it's just really, really fun to construct and put together. And yes, it is in the hoop of your embroidery machine. Let's see. Denise says, will the lessons be in my library forever? Yes, they will. As long as you have an account at sewingonline.sulky.com, the lessons will be in your account as long as you have registered for it. So you can really access it at any time. All right, the birdhouse is very cute. I love the edging, so much nicer than a basic satin stitch. Yes, that's a good point. Julie from Designs by Juju talks about this actually. Instead of just having a satin stitch edge on all of these pieces, there's a little bit of a decorative element to it. It uses a little bit more thread, but it definitely looks better. And it has greater coverage than just a simple satin stitch around all of those edges of all of the pieces. It's really rather nice. And she does such a great job and is so thoughtful on how she digitizes all of her projects. She does have a different wall hanging, a couple of them on her website, but this one is exclusive to us. And I wanted to mention the Home Sweet Home sign that's hanging below the birdhouse. Now, you can remove that and just have a bird and a birdhouse. Very cute. There's also two other sign options. So you can have Home Sweet Home. You can have Welcome Spring. And there's also a blank design, a blank sign. And she gives you an entire tutorial on how to personalize that sign. You could put your last name on it, the March House, or you could say whatever you want to on that sign. No soliciting, maybe, just an idea. But anyways, she gives you an entire video tutorial for customizing that sign. So you have three options for what you hang off of your little birdhouse, or again, you could take the sign off as well if you just want to change it up, because all you have to do is take the little ribbons out of the ribbon loops. You could take the bird off just by taking it off of that little button. So it's very customizable. It's a really, really fun project. You will love learning all of these techniques. And yes, of course, we have a kit that goes along with the session. It has all the fabrics that you saw on that previous, project photo. It also has all of the puffy foam. That's what that big, bundle of stuff is rolled up next to the fabrics in this image. You also get Fabrisolvi, which is what we're going to use to build all of the elements, and all of these beautiful springy, sulky threads. So you get the buttons, the ribbons, all of these great fabrics by Riley Blake. I think you're just really going to love how this all comes together. Sharon is saying, what is the cost of the kit? Thank you for asking. So the kit is on sale now, and I'm just going to double check so I don't misspeak. The cost of the kit is, it is on sale for $49.99. It's over $66 retail price, so it's a great sale price. It will only be on sale until, let's see, it's like the month of the event or something like that. So it will be on sale for the month of February as well. And then it will go up to retail price. We want to make sure that everybody who wants a kit can grab a kit. And for all of you who have joined us for the Designs by Juju events in the past, I believe this is the fourth one we've done with Julie from Designs by Juju. We just love working with her. She loves sulky thread. It's a great relationship. She's so great. Have I mentioned I love her? Anyways, you will know if you've attended one of these in the past, or if you have one of these in your library from the past, that the kits go really, really fast. So make sure if you want a kit, grab one up while it's on sale. And you probably want to have it on hand before the session activates on February 13th, because you will be working through it using those videos as a guide. But again, it is all self-led by you. So you can pause the video, you can rewatch it, you can rewind it, whatever you need to do while you're working your way through it, so that you have Julie as your guide right next to you. You can watch on your tablet, on your phone. If you have a laptop right next to your embroidery machine, that's really helpful. So nothing like learning from the embroidery designer herself, when you're trying to work your way through a design or a project. It's really, really invaluable. All right. Jana says, need to check out the previous events. Yes. So, hopefully I can remember, but our first event with Designs by Juju was our Keepsake Key Fobs webcast. It was so incredibly popular that we did a second round of kits. Those went like hotcakes. Then I did a So What episode about the key fobs, because everyone just loved them so much, and I did my take on them. And we re-kitted it for that and sold out of them. Like, it was absolutely bonkers and so awesome. So I'm sure all of you have a key fob at this point. After the Keepsake Key Fobs, we decided to do these longer format sessions with her, because she's just such a wealth of information. We could never fit it in to a 60-minute webcast. And we just really wanted to bring you, everything from start to finish, all inclusive of that project, product information and why she chose what she chose, and info on using software, and, all of the stuff that she brings to the table. So we started doing these longer format sessions. We did notebook covers in the hoop, super, super popular. We did greeting cards, which we are bringing back, because for Valentine's Day, creating your own cards and using your embroidery machine to embellish them with hearts and flowers and sayings, so, so fun. So we did greeting cards. That's a whole lesson with tons of designs included in that lesson. And yes, you can still register for that and get it all on demand. Then we did a quilty wall hanging that was done in the hoop with a sewing machine applique and a little 3D fabric embellishment on it. And that was done with Becky Thompson of Power Tools with Thread in partnership with Designs by Juju. So we used all Designs by Juju designs and tutorials, and that was another great one. And now here we are with our 3D spring wall hanging. So I just, again, love working with her. I know you all love Designs by Juju as well. My relationship with Designs by Juju goes way, way back when I used to be with Creative Machine Embroidery Magazine. And I know I've told this story before, but I'll go ahead and tell it again. But there was a time when Martha Stewart was a part of the Singer Viking Pfaff family of sewing machines, and they were bringing her on as a spokesperson for their sewing machines, right? Most specifically Husqvarna Viking at that time. And I was lucky enough to go to San Antonio, Texas for the launch of Martha Stewart being part of these brands. And what a party it was. Amazing. I also got the chance to interview Martha Stewart. I think my time slot was 12 minutes from start to finish, from when I got to walk in the room and walk out. And I just said, I've got to do something impactful so that she remembers me, right? This is what I'm thinking. So I, of course, had to make her something so that it was a little icebreaker for the interview to start, what have you. So I made her a freestanding lace, actually, little ornament that was the letter M. Had lots of thread in it, lots of colors in it. I put a little hanging loop on the top of it, and that way she would have something freestanding. It was machine embroidery, so it went along with the machines she was launching. We could talk about embroidery, etc. It was a wonderful icebreaker. And you know what? The design I used to gift to Martha Stewart was from Designs by Juju. So this is kind of where my affinity for Designs by Juju began. I had been using her designs for a while to work on things for the magazine and whatnot. But, you know, it just really was solidified after my Martha Stewart encounter as well. And I have just loved her and her designs ever since then. So that is my Martha Stewart story. I apologize if you all have heard it again. But, you know, it's one of those once in a lifetime opportunities that I will never forget. And I love that Designs by Juju was also part of it. All right, so shall we get to today's project? Because I know we're all freezing, and I really wanted to plug in my electric blanket so that I could have it over my lap while I was talking to you today, and I didn't get that far, so I am also freezing. And I think today's project is going to help us all with those frigid temps. So our project today is our winter draft stopper. This was designed by Chelsea Briner of So Simple Home. Chelsea has done a number of projects for us here at Sulky. She does a lot of handwork and hand embroidery on her projects, but also a lot of machine embroidery. But as her, blog and website is So Simple Home, she's really great for these home deck projects. So I was so delighted when I was kind of brainstorming, thinking that this would be a great project for so many of us this winter. And she tackled it, made it designer, gave it some applique, put on some custom welting. And here we have a really, really nice winter draft stopper pillow. Again, I'm loosely calling it a pillow because the construction is very similar to creating a bolster pillow. So if you're interested in creating something like this to go on your bed or across the front of your couch, You can certainly adapt this pattern for this. We're just going to stuff it a little bit differently because for the draft stopper that's on the floor that we put up against our door to stop those drafts from coming in, we need to weight it a little bit so that it stays in place. So I'll give you tips on that as well. Excuse me. Let me have a little sip of coffee. And yes, I'm on my second cup of coffee, but I promise I might stop there. Oh, someone's asking about, let's see. Anita says, I've made a draft stopper like 30 years ago. An easy method would be fun. I think you will find this very easy. And you can make it more complicated if you want to add machine embroidery, if you want to piece together the fabrics and make it have a quilty vibe. There's so many different takes on this, but I'm going to give you, I think, a pretty easy way, pretty easy method for it. Annette says, was it Martha Stewart or Martha Pullen? It was Martha Stewart. But I have met Martha Pullen as well, and I love her as well. I have Martha Pullen stories for days also, but no, that was Martha Stewart. All right. And yes, Martha Pullen was also involved with SVP, Singer Viking Pfaff, but this was Martha Stewart back in the day. All right, where can we find directions in the design for the door draft? Okay, great question. So this is a free pattern right now at sulky.com. You can grab this pattern, put it in your cart at sulky.com. It will say $0. Go through the checkout process. And then after you check out at $0, you will have this file in your account at sulky.com. You can pull it up, download it to your computer. You can print it if you wish, etc. So this is at sulky.com. It has all the instructions that I'm going to go over with you here on So What, so you can ask questions and all these things. It also has some appliqué templates. So this fabric actually does not have snowflakes on it. We're going to add those out of Sulky Felty. So I'll get to that momentarily. But all the snowflake appliqué templates are also with the pattern. So once you get your pattern, you print it out, or you just print those appliqué template pages. You can use those for your appliqué templates and you'll be good to go. All right. So, here's just another picture of it that you can see a little bit closer up. And here is a picture so you can see how it's nestled up against the lower edge of the door, preventing any drafts from coming through underneath the door. And a great picture of that custom welting. So you might be asking, what is the difference between piping and welting? Because man, this really looks like piping to me. Well, the two terms are a little bit synonymous, but from my education with the sewing magazines and this and that, piping refers to this type of embellishment where you take a strip of fabric and fold it over a piece of cording. You stitch close to the cording and you've created an edge treatment. You call it piping when you apply it to a garment. You call it welting when you apply it to a home deck item. That's really the only difference. So if you want to call this piping, you call it piping. If you want to call it welting, you call it welting. I'm going to call it welting because it's on a home deck project. But they are pretty synonymous. They basically mean the same thing. Usually welting uses a little bit thicker diameter cord inside of the fabric. And piping is generally smaller because you're using it on things like, the edge of like a sleep shirt where you have like a button placket, something like this. So there you have it. Here's a good picture of it. When I told Chelsea, I said, I want this to have a little bit more high-end look. How about we use like a velvet fabric or a velveteen or an ultra suede or something like this? Let's kick it up a notch, And she found this really great velveteen fabric in the home deck section at the fabric store. It has a little bit of a backing to it, so a nice structure to it. And that backing keeps it a little bit more stable than, let's say if you were to find a stretch velvet or a crushed velvet. Sometimes those are so stretchy, they make it really more difficult to sew. So you want to look in the home decor section of fabrics, which generally gives you a greater width of fabric as well. Almost all the time, the home decor fabrics come on super long bolts, at least 60 wide, sometimes even 108 wide or something like this. So be mindful of how wide that fabric piece is, but it also allows you to create a pretty long draft stopper pillow. The instructions in the pattern that you will get at sulky.com, they will fit, I think it says up to like a 32-inch wide door. So if you have, let's say, double doors or French doors or something like that, where you are trying to stop the draft, maybe that go out to your patio or something like that, you will want to measure that finished width of, your door frame and make yours a little bit longer and include your seam allowances and all that good stuff. But shopping in that home decor section for these means that you can probably get fabric that's long enough that you won't have to piece it together to come up with that width. So keep that in mind. Susan also says, don't forget to check the remnants there. That's a really great tip as well, because you don't need a very big piece. You might just need a very long piece. So the remnant section is another great resource. All right, so here's our great velveteen fabric. And along with our rectangle of fabric that we need for the door draft stopper itself, you also need a round piece of fabric that you will cut depending on the dimensions of your door snake, draft dodger, whatever we want to call it today. And all of those dimensions are in the pattern for you. So you can create it exactly as it's shown, and you'll have like a standard pillow that fits a pretty standard, one panel door. You also need a circle for both ends, and then you need your strips of fabric to create your welting, as well as your cording for the welting. All right. We will also need some fabric and some fusible web for our snowflake appliques. And if my mouse would work, I can show you that. There we go. So here are our fabric circles for the ends, as well as that welting piece. Now, they do make, if you go to the trims section of your fabric store or your hobby and craft store, a lot of the times they have pre-made piping and welting that you can get by the yard. So the cording is already inside of there for you. It's already stitched pretty close to the cord, so you can get it all pre-made. If you want everything to match and coordinate nicely, you can create your own really easily by cutting out your strips of fabric, wrapping it around the cording diameter of your choice. So you could go fatter, smaller, whatever you like. Wrap it around there and then use your zipper foot to stitch pretty close to the cording edge. You don't want to go right up against it because that's where you're going to stitch when you apply it. So you want to go maybe a needle position over from it being really tight against the cording, and you can create your strips that way. But you can also dive into the trims department if you want to find it already pre-made, so you don't have to buy the cording separately and, all the odds and ends. There are pre-made welting, piping, what have you, in the trim section. I would go, a shade or two darker if you can't match your fabric entirely. But you know what? The color combination is completely up to you. You could also omit the cording, the welting, but I really think it just adds something to this and makes it, a little bit more designery. And quite honestly, it doesn't take that much more time to add it to our little circle ends. All right. So we're also going to need the fabric for our appliques, our snowflake applique templates that come with the pattern, and some perfect applique fusible web. This fusible web is very lightweight. You almost can't even tell that you have fused it to your first fabric. I have to feel it every single time because it's so lightweight, I can hardly tell that it's there. I absolutely love it. Even though it's lightweight, it's really strong. So we're going to be using it with sulky felty and create felt snowflake appliques because the felty doesn't fray. So we can do this raw edge applique treatment and not worry about the felty fraying. It also is just a little bit more stable than, or not really stable, I guess dimensional is really what I'm going for, than that velveteen fabric. If we were to use the velveteen fabric maybe in a different color for the appliques, we would have to do like a satin stitch applique edge, something that's going to cover all of those fabric edges so they don't fray. And, you know, with a pillow or something that's going to be resting on the floor for its life, we're going to be wanting to wash it, spot clean it, things like that. And any kind of agitation like that is probably going to give us frayed edges on our raw edge applique. So using the felty gives us that, you know, texture and dimension that we're getting from the velveteen, but it has, you know, nice cut, clean edges to it. It has a nice soft hand to it still. So it complements that velveteen and still retains that high-end look that we're going for. So we've got white felty so that we can create white snowflakes. I think it's just a nice nod to, you know, the cold. We're keeping the cold out, but we're having snowflakes inside in the form of fabric and thread. All right. So first up, we're going to cut all of our appliques out of the felty. So you want to fuse the perfect applique fusible web to one of the felty sides, and you can really just choose the side that you want to be the wrong side. You might notice a slight difference from the right and wrong side of the felty, but if you happen to fuse it on, you know, one side or the other, you're honestly not going to be able to tell which is which. So choose one side as the wrong side, fuse your perfect applique to it, transfer as many snowflake appliques as you want. These are pretty large in scale. I will say that big one is about the size of my hand. So you really don't need a lot of these to cover your fabric rectangle. And you can just space them about 1 inch apart, audition them over the fabric until you have a pleasing arrangement. We're basically creating our own print fabric here using appliques. So once we have cut out all of those snowflakes, then we can remove the paper backing and lightly fuse them to that velveteen fabric. Now you really want to be sure that you look at that bolt of fabric. Make sure that you have a fabric that can withstand a little bit of heat from an iron. I would hate for you to get some kind of fabric that, you know, melts if an iron touches it. And some of those home decor fabrics have a coating, or even part of the backing is made with something artificial that might melt with the heat of an iron. So be on the lookout. You can also try using a press cloth to fuse your appliques just to make sure that you don't mar or harm the fabric in any way while you're fusing. Once you get all of your appliques fused down, then we're going to sew them down. Now, you can add some hand applique elements. So Chelsea has stitched down the center of that skinny snowflake using a combination of 30 weight cotton thread mixed with our 30 weight poly sparkle thread. That's right, you add a little poly sparkle thread into your snowflakes and they have a little bit of glitz and shine to them. They just have a little bit of sparkle. Poly sparkle is a little bit heavier weight thread. It's that same 30 weight thread that the 30 weight cotton is, obviously. And it's polyester with flecks of metallic running through it. So you can hand sew big stitches on any of your snowflakes for just a little bit of glitz. You can also use the poly sparkle in your sewing machine and stitch down the center of your snowflakes, or even along the edge of your snowflakes using a blanket stitch, a satin stitch, a zigzag stitch, or even just a straight stitch to do the raw edge applique look. If you're going to use 30 weight cotton or 30 weight poly sparkle in your sewing machine, you need to go up to a size 90-14 needle. I would suggest using a top stitch needle rather than a universal, because the top stitch needle has a nice sharp point to it, whereas a universal needle has a little bit of a ball point to it. And we're going through this home deck fabric as well as the felty, which is pretty heavy weight. Even though it's nice and soft and can take a lot of needle penetrations, we're still going through a lot of thickness of fabric. So a 90-14 top stitch or even a 90-14 jeans needle, if your fabric is particularly heavyweight or has like a heavier weight backing to it that you need to penetrate through. All right, so stitching our appliques either by hand or by machine. Here you can see on some of the fatter or more substantial snowflakes that she has edge stitched the appliques on. So you can also add your center sparkly stitches to whichever snowflakes you want. This is your time to do as much or as little stitching as you want to secure those appliques. And of course, if you don't want to put snowflakes on yours, you can put little hearts for Valentine's Day. You can leave it plain and go with a fabric print. You can add decorative stitching or even machine embroidery. If you want to embroider the words welcome on it, or, stay away cold or whatever, you can certainly do applique lettering, machine embroidery, so many different things on your fabric rectangle. So once you have your embellishments all done, here is just using a different thread color. And you can see how much that applique really pops now. So you can either use, a white thread, a sparkly thread, a blue thread, whatever you want to use for your applique stitching. But once you have that all done, you want to make sure your rectangle is nice and flat. Put it on a flat work surface and just double check that all of your snowflakes are sewn. There's really nothing worse than thinking that it's all done and you've completed your project and there's a rogue snowflake with no stitching. So it's a good idea to just put your fabric face up, give everything a once over, make sure everything is stitched, and then you're ready to do the construction. This comes together so quickly and easily. So we're going to take our long rectangle for our pillow and we're going to fold it in half so right sides are together, and we're going to sew the long edge, keeping our short ends open, and we're going to leave a little opening for turning along the center of that long edge. Now we are going to add our welting to our end circle pieces. So you're going to take your welting strip and with right sides together, you are going to put on an edge stitching foot or a zipper foot. You can also move your needle position over a little bit closer to the cording, and you'll sew your welting piece to the outer edge of both circles. Now, when you get to the join where they meet, what you want to do is fold back the fabric on one end. Well, actually, you could fold back the fabric on both ends, and you're going to kind of pin the fabric so that you have your seam allowance where they meet. So your fabric edges are going like this, and then you have your little piece of cording beneath that it probably looks more like this, it's crossing over. You want to trim the cording so that these pieces now abut. Okay, but we still have our flange of the cording up here. Then you're going to pull the flange away from your cording ends and stitch that seam where it meets. Then you can trim your seam allowances, fold them flat, and your cording should abut right along or very nearly next to the seam you just sewed. Now you have a ring of welting and your piping ends meet and your seams are sewn together. Does this make sense? Everybody with me? So once we have done that, and I always wait until I have sewn almost the whole circle, leave myself about 5 inches, 2.5 to 3 inches on either side of my beginning and ending point. Then I can pull those away and really get accurate with that seam, making sure that the cording abuts underneath or inside of it. All right. It's really rather simple to have your cording ends meet like that. And we can place that cording end along the seam of the pillow as well when we insert the ends into our pillow so that it's really inconspicuous. All right, so we're going to sew the cording, making sure our ends meet, and we've pieced those together along both circles. And now we're going to fit the circle ends into the ends of the tube we created previously. So you want to use some pins here. Make sure that your fabric can withstand pins as well. If pins will create permanent holes in the fabric that you've chosen, and you can test along the selvage edge usually. If it will create permanent holes, you want to use some quilting clips, some wonder clips instead of pins. So just give it a little test first. I would hate for you to pin generously and then have a bunch of holes. All right, so we're going to pin our circle to our opening on both sides, and our welting is going to be inside, in between, because our right sides are facing. All right, so then we're going to sew along that circle, and you can see just how pretty it looks when you turn that to the right side. You've got your little bit of welting, little decorative accent, and the end of our pillow. And it really just does elevate this a little bit. Plus, if you don't get your circle stitching perfect, right, so that your circle actually looks circular, you know, you might have a little bit of straight edge here and there, because sewing circles is hard. Let's be real. The welting kind of covers that up a little bit. It's kind of, you know, not only is it decorative, but it helps hide our mistakes a little bit. So does double duty in my opinion. All right, so now we get to fill our draft stopper pillow. So if you're going to use this as a bolster pillow, a decorative, bed pillow, or on your couch or something, you will want to just stuff this with some polyester fiber fill or, you know, the stuffing of your choice. Make sure that you get into your ends, you know, with a lot of stuffing, and then kind of build toward the center on either side. That way the stuffing is distributed nice and evenly and full along the entire pillow. If you're going to create this to sit on the floor, we need to weight it a little bit. So Chelsea found that the combination of popcorn kernels and fiber fill stuffing was the best solution for this. Now, the reason you don't fill the whole thing with popcorn is, first of all, you're going to go broke buying popcorn. Secondly, it gets too heavy to move because of the sheer, size of this thing. And thirdly, the popcorn doesn't really get into your end seams and, kind of fill out the pillow. It just kind of droops when it's all popcorn. So the combo of the fiber fill with the popcorn kernels gives it a nice weight and still fills out the pillow nicely. So start by putting a little fiber fill on both ends and really push it into the seam where your welting is so that it fills that out nicely. And then do a scoop of popcorn, do some fiber fill, scoop of popcorn, fiber fill, blah, 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 until the whole thing starts to fill out and it has some weight to it. All right, so here you can see we're going in there with a little bit of fiber fill. Esther's asking, did Chelsea try rice with fiber fill? She actually did, and in the instructions, I believe it might say popcorn or rice, but she did prefer the popcorn. I think just because the popcorn is just larger kernels, so you need a little bit less of it than the rice, but there are tips in the pattern for that as well. All right. So once you get it full to your liking, then all you need to do is close up that little opening with a little bit of hand sewing. And I know there's so many of us out there who hate hand sewing because we would just rather use our machines. But for this opening that we have left, we really have to hand sew it so it's nice and inconspicuous. And, you know, really that's the only reason, so that it's nice and inconspicuous. If you were to top stitch this, you would have a really unsightly seam on the bottom of your draft stopper. So just, you know, a couple of invisible stitches, whether it's a ladder stitch, a slip stitch, a whip stitch, whatever you prefer to do, make sure that you are sewing in the seam allowance there, and then just kind of fluff it up again. And, you know, move it around with your hands to distribute all of that filling. And then you can display it where you need to, you know, by your patio door, by the front door. Maybe you have a particularly cold hallway when you go to sleep at night. I don't know, what have you. So not only is this useful, but it's decorative. It's also a little bit high end with our velveteen fabric and our welting and our beautiful applique. Again, you could change this up in myriad ways. Use quilting cottons. You know, you can piece together some scrap fabrics. If you were to do that, piecing together, let's say, some quilting cotton fabrics, I would add a rectangle of interfacing afterwards, just to make sure all of those seams that we piece together are, you know, sort of, what am I trying to say? They're sort of sealed with that interfacing, and the interfacing is going to give a little bit more body and weight to the pillow as well. All right. Lots of people giving their tips and tricks about using poly pellets like they use in weighted blankets. Oh, that's a good point. Not attracting mice with, you know, field corn and popcorn and things like that. So creating an interior pillow for your stuffing so that you can remove it. Maybe have a little bit of Velcro in your opening, hook and loop tape, if you will, or a small zipper so that you can open it up, take your interior pillow out and wash it. Another great idea. See, this is why I love when we all come together so that we can customize the project for our needs, for our climate, for our circumstances, for our fabrics, and it's just wonderful. Love it. All right, Linda says, I have used a swim noodle for the center with small gravel for weight. What a great idea. I would have never thought of that. Or using old beans inside. Yeah, I think that you could come up with lots of options that work for you, or maybe the items that you have on hand as well. And you can come up with your creation using this as a jumping off, you know, springboard for the project that you want to create. So if you do alter this, I would love to see your creations. You can join our Facebook group. It's called Sulky Stitch and Post, Stitch N Post. You could search for that on Facebook. It's our private Facebook group. And there's lots of us there posting our project pictures, asking questions of one another. It's a really great place to hang out on social media because you're with people that have the same interests as you. And, you know, we keep it clean. We keep it drama free, or at least we try to. No, we do. But it's really great to see everybody's ideas there on the Stitch and Post group. And I also will post sales there, coupons just for Stitch and Posters, things like that. So there's lots of benefits of joining that Facebook group other than just coming together as well, which is, you know, a great benefit in and of itself. So many creative folks. That is right. Oh, Esther says wooden beads also works for stuffing that pillow and giving it a little bit of weight. So yeah, I think, oh, Lisa says, what was the name again of the Facebook group? It's called Sulky Stitch N Post. Kind of like our stabilizers where we say soft and sheer. It's a little apostrophe and an N. So it's Stitch N Post. Stitch and Post. So you can search for that on Facebook. We'll also put a link in the comments here so you can head on over and just ask to join. We will approve that, and then you'll be part of the Stitch and Post group where you can post your pictures. I really want to create one of these, long pillows to go up along my couch, because I think, like, I love the look of pillows on the couch, but inevitably my dog, my kids, my husband, they want to lay on the couch and they move all the pillows and they end up on the floor or what have you. So I just think like a little skinny pillow might be kind of nice. So I'm going to do my own take on this project and probably not use it on the floor. But anyway, those are my own thoughts. Anita says, all of these ideas really help in creating the best of things. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you so much. Karen says, it's nice to see other projects. It sure is. It was so fun after our New Year's Eve event, seeing everybody's New Year's Eve bags posted on that Stitch and Post group page. It was so fun to see the designs that people used, the fabrics people used, the way that they altered the bag for their own, likes or needs or what have you. And it's just a fun place to be, especially, with everything else that floods our social media on the daily. It's nice to, click on over to the Stitch and Post page and, that you can just talk about sewing in a free space with nice, like-minded people. So it's nice to have that as a resource. All right. Well, I appreciate you all hanging out with me today, and be sure to catch another So What next Tuesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure, if you are not already, sign up and register for the 3D Spring Wall Hanging Embroidery Session with Designs by Juju. This one is going to be active on February 13th. And you will have plenty of time. If you grab up a kit today, your kit will arrive. You can have everything ready to go to start your project when this begins. And you will have access to watch it at any time. So once you purchase it, it will go in your library. And after it is all live and active, you can watch those videos, read through the lessons, take this session whenever it's convenient for you. So make sure you have registered for that and that you've grabbed up your kit at the sale price of $49.99, which is almost $20 off retail. So it's a really, really great deal. And you have everything you need, including all of those great Riley Blake springy fabrics, the ribbon, the buttons, the puffy foam, the stabilizer, all the threads that you need, and you're off to the races. So enjoy your draft dodger. Stay warm, everybody. And I'll see you next Tuesday for another So What.